replicated storage on group chapters, server storage right here. Bang. There we go. So we already did all of this. We're gonna put instance script, server script device, and we just delete that. And yeah.
Firstly, just check on Explore. This is just the GUI. Spawn example like that. Kind of coding and doing the instructions.
Alright,
the instruction manual isn't carrying out
took 2 minutes to live.
Script, which we won't be focusing on yet.
Alright, and then you make basically a script which is game logic. You have to do this just to remember it. Models ungroup. There we go. As you see, he has scripted this already, so I think you don't need to do it. Just take off print dot
Yet, but that's
world.
For the crossbow. When you fire it at the piggy, then they will be stunned for a number of seconds and they can't move, so we don't need to worry about that. But the most important script which we will be working with today is the game logic script, and this script is where we're going to.
So I'm not stealing this guy's video and stuff. I'm sorry if I haven't streamed for a long time. If I didn't even feel like streaming.
Control the actual game and the round itself. We're going to script everything to do with the round, you know, teleporting everybody, choosing who's the piggy, choosing the map, detecting when people have escaped, detecting when somebody's been killed, and managing script. Module script code is actually
round model. Let's just make another script. Oh wait, is it a script or model? Model. It's model. Yoink. What was it? It was round model. Alright.
Running in your game logic script. It's actually just stored in the module script, but it's being retrieved and executed for that module brackets, parentheses.
So basically, we're gonna do this. Require. Oh no, not require. Local round equals require. Just like that.
We're going to say script dot round module. Okay, because the round module is inside of the script. We just say script to get the current script dot round module. Okay, so now that we've required it, we are in control of the module. So what happens is the module will return all of the functions which we haven't yet declared or written out. All of the functions though will be inside this module table, so we have access to run them from this game logic script. So don't worry if you are a little bit confused, we'll still be going over this whilst we keep coding the game. Now for our intermission, we want to show text on the screen to tell people when the next game will start. So to do that, we need to insert a status value. I have done a video on how to make a status bar, so if you don't understand this, you can check it out by going to the video in the top right corner of the screen. We'll also link it in the description. What it requires is having a value stored in the replicated storage, a string value, and I'm going to call this value status. And that way we can update this value, we can give it a value from the game logic script, and then our GUIs can show the value of this status object as a text label, so it will appear on the screen. Whatever the value property of this status object is will appear on the screen, and that's what we'll get into coding on the client later on. But all we need to do to set a message is to change the value of this status object. So in the round module, we're going to create our first function. So to do that, it's very, very easy. We just need to say function module, and then we give it a name. So we have to say module first to tell it that it's part of this table that we want to send back to our game logic script. So function module, and I'm just going to call it intermission with a capital I. Okay, like this. So for module.intermission, and then we're going to have a pair of parentheses, and then we're going to drop a line. Now inside of here, all that we need to do is we need to do a countdown. So we're going to use a for loop for that. So for I equals, and then we supply 3 numbers, so the value we want to count down from. So let's just say 30, for example. And then the second number is the value that we want to stop at, so when we get to 0. And then the third value is the how much it will decrease by every second, so -1. Then we're going to say do, and then drop a line, and it will add this end for us, and then we can do a wait 1, because we want to wait 1 second before it moves on. Wait 1 second 30 times, and then you've been waiting for 30 seconds. Then what we need to do is we need to update the value of this status. So let's create a variable for that status, because I'm sure we'll be constantly using it. So local status, and that is going to be equal to game.replicated storage wait for child status. Okay, because we've got this status value in the replicated storage, and we're using wait for child just to wait until it has been added into the game, in case it's added a little bit late and it's not there by the time that this script is looking for it. So we're just waiting until it's there. Then we can say status.value equals, and then we can do a string, which is just some text in speech. Marks saying next round starts in, and then space, and then I, and then in. Speech marks again, seconds, like this. And the I is inserting the I value, and the I value is going to be that countdown, so it's going to be the number of seconds. So it's going to count down from 30 down to 0. It's going to decrease by 1 every second. And then when we say we are basically combining this text with a variable, and this variable is our I value. So it's going to tell us how many seconds until the next round starts. And what if we wanted to have a custom length, though, that we so if we were to call this intermission, all we'd need to now do from our game logic script is say round.intermission. So what that would do is it would start the intermission for us, okay? But what if we wanted to tell the round module how many seconds we want the intermission to last for from where we call it, from here? So if I wanted to say 5 seconds, well, what we'd need to do is we need to firstly put that number inside the brackets, and then in the round module, we would just create an argument. So this is kind of like a variable, and it's just going to be the number of seconds that we've passed to it. So we're going to call it length. Then we can change the 30 to be the length. So because we have passed a number in these brackets, it's going to send that to the function when it starts, and length is now going to be 5. So it will count down from 5. But instead of having to change it in here, we can just always have length. So we could have different intermissions if we wanted to. If we wanted to do an intermission after that, you could do one for 15 seconds. So it's just a quicker way of us being able to pass how long we want to wait for in here. And that's an argument. If you want to learn more about functions and arguments, I have got a video on that, which you can check out in the top right corner of the screen or in the description. So that's our intermission done. And if we were to go and check it out in game, you would see that the replicated storage value would be counting down from 5. Now let's make it a little bit longer. I'm going to make it 30 seconds. I'm going to play the game, and I'm going to show you this happening in action. So if you go into replicated storage and you click on status and you open up the properties, it will say next round starts in 16, 15, 14, 13, and it's counting down every single second from that 25, which is awesome. So we know that's working, and that's good. And you can also see that it's now appearing magically in our GUI. Well, how has it done that? Well, that's because in the Piggy kit, I went over adding this status bar. and the client scripting. If you went into client main, you would see that we've got a get property change signal on the status. So replicated storage, wait for child status. When the value changes, just change the top status's text to the status's value, which I also went over in the status bar video, which I mentioned a couple of minutes ago. The next thing we want to do is insert the map, don't we? We want to choose a random map from the chapters folder and insert it into the game. So let's head back to our round module script, and we're going to create another function, and this function is going to select a random map. Now I've gone ahead and already created our second function, module.selectChapter, as I'm sure you'll be able to know how to make functions now. And inside of here, we're going to firstly create a random seed, and that's going to help us generate a random map. So we're going to say local rand, just a variable, and it's going to create our new seed, random.new. And that is kind of like when you put a seed for map generation. So for example, in Minecraft, you generated a new seed, kind of like that. It's just generating a bunch of random numbers for us. Next, I'm going to create a variable for all of our chapters. So we can say game.replicatedStorage.chapters, that chapters folder, get children. And when we say get children, it's going to give us a table of all of the chapters, or all of the objects inside that folder. So it's going to give us a table of all the map models, basically. And then we need to pick a random chapter out of that table, a random map object out of that table. If you do want to learn more about tables and how they work, I've got a video on tables. I'll leave it in the description down below and in the card as well. So now to pick a random chapter, we can just say, we can create a variable for the one that's going to be chosen, local chosen chapter equals chapters, because that's our folder.
Sorry. Local. I don't know if anyone has been here yet. It's been 14 minutes.
And then a pair of square brackets tells us that we want to pick one of them out. So we pick it out by giving it a number, because they all have an index, every map, between 1 and however many there are. So if there's 10, they're all going to be numbered 1 to 10. And if you choose a random number, such as 6, it's going to pick the 6th one out. So to do that, we just need to then select a number between 1 and however many there are. So we say rand, because that's our random seed, next integer. And that will select a random number. So integer, integer. And then inside of there, we give our first number that's going to be between, it's going to be between 1 and then comma and hashtag chapters. When you say hashtag, well, the tools folder has...
Gosh.
So it's going to pick a random number between 1 and 5 and pick that chosen chapter out. Then we need to send that chapter map object back to our game logic script. So we can say return chosen chapter, and that will send that back to the game logic script. So if we then said round.selectChapter and put our pair of brackets after that, what we need to do is we need to set it as a variable. So local chosen chapter equals round.selectChapter, and when that returns the chosen map back, chosen chapter will then be equal to it will be the map object itself, so we can manipulate it. So this map here that we've just chosen is actually the the one that's still in replicated storage. We don't want to move it out. We just want to create a clone of it. Okay, so we're gonna say, look, we're gonna create a clone of it. So we're gonna say local cloned chapter equals chosen chapter. We're gonna take that chosen map and we're gonna make a clone of it by saying :clone. Okay, with a capital C. Then we're gonna say cloned chapter. We're gonna change its name. Say clone chapter.name equals map. The reason for this is because they've all got different names. We could have chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. But we want to insert it into the workspace and we want to call it map. And when we do that, then from other scripts, which may not know the name of the map that was chosen, we can just identify the map by calling it map. And then from other scripts, if you want to get the map, we can say game.workspace.map. And the reason we've cloned it is because we don't want to change the maps in replicated storage because they're going to get chosen in the next round. We don't want to mess them up. So we're going to say cloned chapter dot parent equals game dot workspace. We're just going to put it in the workspace. When it's in the workspace, we can see it, and we can teleport everybody into the map. And if you go and test the game, when the intermission gets to 0, if we head into server mode by clicking on current client and changing it to server, and you move around, you should see that the map has now been inserted. We want to change the maps in replicated storage because they're going to get chosen in the next round. We don't want to mess them up. So we're going to say cloned chapter dot parent. How do we know if a player is in the menu or not? Well, when they first spawn into the game, we're going to insert a value into their player. Think of it like a tag, so that we can loop through all of the players in the game, and if they do have that tag, then we'll know that they're in the menu. But when they click the menu play button, we can remove that tag. Okay, so we basically have a way of telling if they're in the menu or not, and that way we will have the players that are not AFK in the round, so that nobody is AFK and delaying the round. So to do that, we're going to have to insert another script into the game. Now we're going to click on Serve Script Service, and we're going to insert a script. This script, however, I'm going to rename it, and I'm going to call it Event Handling. It's going to handle all of our remote events in the future, as well as the events when a player first joins the game. So inside of here, it's very, very easy. We're going to say, we're going to do an event for when the player first joins the game. So inside of this script, very, very simple, we've got a player added event. The players that are not AFK in the round, so that nobody is AFK and delaying the round. So to do that, we're going to have to insert another script into the game. Now we're going to click on Serve Script Service, and we're going to insert a script. This script, however, I'm going to rename it, and I'm going to call it Event Handling. It's going to handle all of our remote events in the future, as well as the events when a player first joins the game. So inside of here, it's very, very easy. We're going to say, we're going to do an event for when the player first joins the game. So inside
I'm like clearly blind. Oh gosh. Mister, I literally spelled something wrong. I want to type this, alright? And what if I need to? So I'm doing it. A lot of writing, dude. Oh my gosh.
Of the script, very simple. We've got a player added event, and this event is going to run when a player first joins the game, and the player argument here is going to be the player that does join. So whatever we do to player will be done to the player that joins. And so what we'll do is going to insert, using instance.new, a bool value. It doesn't matter really about what type of value it is, it's just a tag. But this bool value, we're going to give it a name, call it in menu, and I'm going to put it inside the player. So when we join the game, if you look inside players, AlvinBlox, or your player, you'll see that you've got this in menu. And when we press play, what we're going to do is we're going to create a remote event that will destroy this value. As I said, we'll know that you are ready to play when that value's been destroyed. Because if you haven't got the in menu value stored in your player, we'll know that you're not in the menu, and we'll know that you're ready to play. Now, because you're only out of the menu when you press play, on the GUI. The GUI is actually stored on the client on your computer, and when we want to change something, when you do something on the client, just clicking a button, we have to use remote events so that we can trigger the remote event from the GUI on the client, and then we can pick it up on the server, because all of our code, such as the event handling, is stored on the server, which is owned by Roblox, and we communicate over the internet, because the client and the GUIs are stored on your computer, and the server can't tell when you've clicked a button, which is why we have to use remote events to tell the server code when we've done something. So in this case, we are going to do a remote event and fire it when you click on the play button, so that we're on the server, we can pick it up and remove that in-menu value from your player. So again, very simple, just click on the replicated storage, click on the plus, and insert a remote event. This remote event, I'm going to rename it, and I'm going to call it menu play, because it's going to be fired when you press play on the menu. Then, inside the event handling script, we're going to create another event, which will pick this up, and then code will be able to run on the server when this remote event is triggered. So, game.replicatedStorage.menuPlay.onServerEvent, because when it's event that's been fired to the server from the client, :connect, a function, and we've got an end with a bracket added here. Now, we need to know on the server which player has fired this event, which player has clicked the menu. So we have an argument which is automatically sent over called player, okay? And you will see inside of the client main local script, which came in the menu, the main GUI, which was in the Piggy kit, you will see that when you press the intro play button, we've got this event here which fires when you click the play button. It will actually fire that remote event, so we've already done that. So it's been fired, which is automatically sent over called player, okay? And you will see inside of the client main local script, which came in the menu, the main GUI, which was in the Piggy kit, you will see that when you press the intro play button, we've got this event here which fires when you click the play button. It will actually fire that remote event, so we've already done that. So it's been fired, and we're now handling it on the server, okay? So what we're going to do is firstly just going to check if the player has that in-menu value inside of them. So if player :find first child in menu, and when we say find first child, it's because in case it's not there, if we were to just say if player.inMenu, then it would cause an error if it wasn't there. So find first child will look for the thing that you want to find, so in this case the in menu, but if it's not there it won't throw an error. So it's just a better way of looking for things. So if they have got the menu value in them, then we know that they do have it, so we can say player.inMenu: destroy, and it's going to remove it. So when we then check in the round module for all players without the in menu tag, then we can add them to that table. So what we've done now, if we play the game again, is we've just created a value that gets put into players when they first join, when they're in the menu, but then when they click on the menu play button, let's look in our player, here we go, we have the in menu value, but when we press the play button, look closely, it's gone. It gets deleted because we fired that remote event and then the server has deleted it for us. So we can now be counted as an active player who isn't AFK because we've clicked the play button. So what we can now do is go back to the game logic script, and what we're going to do is we're going to loop through every single player in the game. So what we're going to say is a for loop. So if you haven't seen for loops before, it basically allows us to loop through a table. In this case, we're looping through every single player in the game, and for every single player, the player is represented as V, and it's going to loop through every player in the game. So if the player does not have that in menu in them, because we've got the not here, which inverts it. So if the player does not have in menu in their character or in their player object, then we're going to insert that player, their player object, into the contestants table. And now, after that for loop is finished running, our contestants table should be full up of all of the players that are ready to play. So it could look something like this. So we've got 3 players, player objects, not names, because it's actual objects in game.players. So AlvinBlox, Shadletsky, and Nako88. They are our 3 players, for example, that are in the game. So that's the end of the first video. Now you can go straight to the next one by clicking the thumbnail in the middle of your are ready to play. So it could look something like this. So we've got 3 players, player objects, not names, because it's actual objects in game.players. So AlvinBlox, Shadletsky, and Nako88. They are our 3 players, for example, that are in the game. So that's the end of the first video. Spawns, it's going to be a welcome back to episode 2 in my Piggy series. Now I just want to say that if you've been struggling with the first part, or maybe in the future episodes your game doesn't work for some reason, probably, or most likely due to the fact that you have typed it out incorrectly and you haven't noticed that you have made a typo, then I have created on my website a FAQ, frequently asked questions section. I'll leave a link to it in the description, and I'll probably be answering some of your comments with this link to the page, because there's some great answers to the most frequently asked questions, such as my status bar isn't working, and I can confirm that it does work because I have actually followed the tutorial myself, and yes, it does work. So make sure that you have put your status value in replicated storage and you've given it the name status. Make sure that you are calling your intermission function from your game logic script, that you've supplied the number of seconds to count down from, and you have not put a space between the function name and the brackets afterwards. You also need to make sure you've got the capitalization correct. So for example, a lot of people have been saying status.value but in lowercase. You can't do this. You have to have a capital V for value. And this is the sort of thing that the script, it might not say that you forgot to capitalize something. So you need to make sure that you've got your capitalization just as I have done it in my video, okay? Because a lot of people will just go straight to the description, say it didn't work when it does work, and they've just not capitalized something, or they've made a typo but they haven't realized it. So you really need to check your script over to debug it. But do check out this page on my website for more information on how to fix those bugs if you've got one. I'm just trying to give you the best learning experience possible so that you can create your piggy game with ease. I know there's also a lot of people who want to know how to make their custom piggy avatar. I will be uploading a separate video showing people how I made the piggy character. But today we will be choosing the piggy. We will be loading in that avatar to the piggy's character so they look like the piggy, and also teleporting them to their little hideout room before the round starts, then teleporting them into the round after 20 seconds so that they wake up, and finally we will activate the doors. We will make the doors work so that you can click them to open them up and move around the map. The reception to the first video has been phenomenal. You guys have been loving it. We got nearly 20,000 views in the first 24 hours, which is absolutely incredible. So if you are enjoying the series so far, don't forget to like the video and click the subscribe button. Much appreciated. Now let's get straight into the second episode.
Dude.
So if the player does not have in menu in their character or in their player object, then we're going to insert that player, their player object, into the contestants table. And now, after that for loop has finished running, our contestants table should be full up of all of the players that are ready to play. So it could look something like this. So we've got 3 players, player objects, not names, because it's actual objects in game.players. So AlvinBlox, Shadletsky, and Nako88. There are 3 players, for example, that are in the game. Now we can choose one of those players to be the piggy. So let's create a function inside the round module, and we're going to call it choose piggy. So again, you've seen it before, function module.choose piggy. And then the parentheses on the end, and then the end at the bottom. Now, very, very simple. What we're going to do is we're going to pass to this function a table, and that table is going to be the contestants. So let's just call it players. Okay, you can call the argument whatever you want. It's the data that is passed to that argument variable there. So let's just call the function. We can say choose piggy, and then we're going to pass the contestants table, which now will be full up with all the players in the game. Then let's go back to the round module, and now because our players are going to be that contestants table, we're going to do the same thing again that we did with the map. So we're going to firstly create a
I didn't mean to do that.
there. So let's just call the function. We can say choose piggy, and then we're going to pass the contestants table, which now will be full up with all the players in the game. Then let's go back to the round module, and now because our players are going to be that contestants table, we're going to do the same thing again that we did with the map. So we're going to firstly create a random a random seed. You can call it whatever you want. I'm just going to call it random obj. And that's going to be equal to random.new. Creating another seed. And then what we're going to do, we're going to choose a random player to be the piggy. So we're going to choose a random item out of that table. So local chosen piggy equals the player's table. And then we're going to select with the square brackets, again, random object, colon, next integer. And it's going to be between 1, comma, and however many players there are. So hashtag players. And that's going to pick a random player, a player object. So it could be, for example, AlvinBlox, game that works with AlvinBlox. They're their player object. So then what we need to do is we need to return that object back to the script. So return chosen piggy. And we've now just chosen our piggy. We're returning their object back to this function. So we have to have it as a variable. So local chosen piggy. Let's say local chosen piggy equals round. For example, that is in that contestants table. Now we want to separate that piggy from the other contestants because, for example, we want to teleport all of the contestants to the map 20 seconds before we teleport the piggy. So we need to separate them. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove the chosen piggy from the contestants table. So the only people in the contestants table are going to be the people that aren't the piggy, okay? The other players. So we're going to using the for loop, we're going to loop through all the contestants in the game. Okay, and so for Ivy in pairs, and we're looping through the contestants. If the player object V is equal to the chosen piggy, so if the current player that we're looping through is the same player as the chosen piggy that we just chose, then we're going to remove from the table contestants. We're going to remove the object at the index I, because remember I said the tables have indexes, so the first object is going to be index 1, this is going to be index 2, this is going to be index 3. So we're going to, if we're looping through the third player and we found out that they're the piggy, then we want to remove from the table the third object. So I is going to be 3. So we're removing the third object from the contestants table using table.remove. But so again, what we're going to do is we're going to loop through all of the contestants in the game. So this time we're not looping through game.players::get. So I is going to be there from for the piggy out of server store contestants table. We're removing them because we only want the contestants that aren't the piggy to be in that table, because we've now got our own reference to the piggy in this chosen piggy variable. Okay, next we're going to dress up the piggy to put them in their nice piggy outfit. So we're going to create another function in the round module. It's going to be very, very simple. So I'm calling it module.dressPiggy, and I'm then passing through the chosen piggy because we need their from a table. You have to remove their index. So that will remove them from the table. Okay? So we've looped through all of the contestants, checked to see if they're the piggy, and if we have found the piggy in the contestants table, we're removing them because we only want the contestants that aren't the piggy to be in that table, because we've now got our own reference to the piggy in this chosen piggy variable. Okay, next we're going to dress up the piggy to put them in their nice piggy outfit. So we're going to create another function in the round module. It's going to be very, very simple. So I'm calling it module.dressPiggy, and I'm then passing through the chosen piggy because we need their player object so that we can change the character. What we're going to need to do is firstly get that character for the piggy out of server storage. So local character equals game.server_storage, and then we're going to say .piggy dot colon, clone like that. So if you want to, have a different piggy outfit, then you will need to source your own piggy piggy like NPC character like this. I will have a video explaining how you can create your own piggy character and how I made this one. Check the description for that. So follow that video if you want to learn how to make your own piggy. But we've got this template one which does look like the piggy that I showed at the start. So we're cloning that NPC or that character out of server storage. Then we're going to give it a name. So character.name. I'm going to set that to the name of the chosen piggy. So if the chosen piggy is AlvinBlox, this character is going to be called AlvinBlox. Then we're going to have to set the current piggy's character to be this new one here. Okay, this new one that we just created as a variable. And when we set the character, it's basically setting up all the movement, all the camera stuff, so that that character can move. Okay, and then we say character.parent equals workspace. workspace. The order that you do this in is very, very crucial, because you have to firstly clone it and change the name. Then you have to set the player's character to be the new Piggy character, so that all the camera scripts and everything can go in there and start up, and then you put the character in the workspace. So it's kind of just respawning you, but as the Piggy this time, because we've changed what your character looks like. And we've changed it to this Piggy model, and we've created a clone of it so that we can use it again. Now that we've done that,
Oh
we
my
can
gosh, I'm
call it
bored.